how to solve equations with the multiplication property. In the last section we learned how to use the addition property, and so now we're going to learn about multiplication. So we're still going to solve these equations in the same way as we were using the addition property, by following the rule that you do the opposite that's being done to x. So in problem number 2 we have 6x equals 30. So we are multiplying x by that 6. So the opposite operation of multiplying would be to divide by 6 on both sides. Excuse me. So when we have a 6 divided by 6, that leaves us with a 1. And we all know that the number understood to be in front of x, if it's not written, is a 1. So that's why these are said to have canceled out, because it leaves that x by itself. And then 30 divided by 6 is 5. Remember, you can check your work simply by plugging in your answer into the original equation where x is. So if I were to plug in 5 where my x is, 6 times 5 gives us 30, which gives us a true statement. So that's problem number 2. On our final answer was 5. On 4, we have 6x equals negative 42. Again, they're multiplying x by 6, so the opposite of multiplying would be to divide by 6. So we're left with x equals a negative number divided by a positive is going to give us a negative. 42 divided by 6 is 7. Okay, so then problem number 6, we have 66 equals 6x. So it might throw some of you guys off that you see that the x is on the right side of the equal sign, but that's okay. That's not going to change anything. You're still going to get x by itself. It doesn't matter whether it's on the left or the right. So we're still going to divide both sides by 6. Your 6's here are going to cancel, leaving us with an x here. 66 divided by 6 is 11. Number 8, negative 3x equals 27. So our whole goal is to get that x by itself, so that negative 3 is in the way. So the opposite of multiplying by negative 3 would be to divide. Now we have to divide by that same sign. We have to divide by a negative, because had we only divided by a positive, if that negative wasn't there, then a negative 3 divided by a positive 3 would still leave us with a negative x. But we don't want a negative x. We want it positive. So that's why when we are multiplying x by a negative, in order to get rid of that negative, you've got to also divide your number by, or your x by a negative number as well. So remember, what we do to one side, we have to still do to the other. So those negative 3's cancel because they give you a 1. X equals negative 9. Number 10, we have negative 9x equals 90. And we're going to divide both sides by negative 9. Remember, we want to divide by a negative to make this x positive. So it's going to give us x equals negative 10. All right, problem number 12. We have negative 7x equals 49. So we're going to divide both sides by a negative 7. Which gives us x equals negative 7. Okay. Now let's look at problem number 14. All right, problem number 14 is a doozy, and it normally gets everyone who tries it. Remember, the whole goal is to get that x by itself, so we're going to divide by a -9 on both sides. So we're left with an x here, and we have 15 divided by -9. Well, we know that 9 does not divide into 15 evenly, so we're just going to have to simplify that fraction. So a number that goes into both 15 and 9 is 3. So I'm going to divide both of those numbers by 3. So 15 divided by 3 is 5. And -9 divided by 3 is -3. So we get -5/3. In the negative, it could be in the top, it can be in the bottom, it could be in the middle, it really doesn't matter. Number 16, -7x equals -35. I'm going to divide both sides by a -7, which leaves me with x equals a +5. Problem number 18, -4x equals -24. So again, we want our x to be positive, so we're going to divide by a -4, so those negatives can cancel out to give us a positive. X equals a +6. Problem number 20. We have x divided by 3 equals 2. This problem's a little different because here x is being divided by 3. But you've got to think, what is the opposite of dividing x by 3? That would be to multiply by 3. Okay, so if we were to have 3x over 3, which is what we would have if we multiplied 3 times x, well, these 3's in front would simplify because 3 divided by 3 gives you 1, so you'd just be left with 1x. So that's how those two 3's there are going to cancel as well. So x equals 2 times 3 is 6. All right, on problem number 22, we have x divided by 8 equals 5. So we're going to multiply both sides by 8. Your 8's here are going to cancel, leaving you with x equals 40, because 8 times 5 is 40. All right, problem number 24. We have 6 equals x divided by 3. So just because the x is on the right hand side, it doesn't change anything. So I'm going to multiply 3 by both sides of my equal sign. Remember, what you do to one side, you do to the other. So these 3's are going to cancel. 3 times 6 is 18. 18 equals x. If you wanted to flip it around and say that x equals 18, well, that would work too. Problem number 26. X divided by 5 equals -7. We're going to multiply both sides by 5 to get x equals -35. Problem number 28. We have -x over 4 equals -3. So a really quick little side lesson. We have, let's say that we have +6 divided by -3. That would give us a quotient of -2. And if we had -6 divided by a +3, that would also give us a quotient of negative 2. So it doesn't matter if the 3 is negative or if the 6 is negative. You're still going to get the same answer of negative 2. So because of that reasoning, we can choose whether our negative stays with our x or whether our negative stays with our 4. Well, remember, the whole goal is to get x by itself. So we want this to stay a positive x. So let's go ahead and put the negative with the 4. That way our x is already positive and you don't have to worry about it. So we have x divided by negative 4 equals negative 3. So now we're dividing x by negative 4. So the opposite would be to multiply by negative 4. And remember, we want to multiply by a negative because now a negative divided by a negative is going to give us that positive x we need. Had we left this as a positive 4, your x would have ended up being negative anyways. So those negative 4's cancel, leaving us with x equals a positive 12. Problem number 30. We have 4 over 5x equals 10. Well, if I were to ask my students whether the x is in the numerator or in the denominator, I get a lot of various answers. So just to clear this up, your x is understood to be in the numerator. If it's not, I'm going to rewrite that. If it's not clarified, then your x is in the numerator. So let's go ahead and get rid of that 5 because we don't like fractions, and the part that makes it a fraction is having that denominator number other than 1. So if we multiply both sides by 5, then those 5's are going to cancel, leaving us with a 4x here, and then 10 times 5 is 50. And then you can divide both sides by 4 to get x equals 50 divided by 4. Well, that doesn't divide evenly, so we're going to have to simplify. We simplify by dividing these two numbers by a common factor. If you think about it, the common factor they both have is 2. So 50 divided by 2 is 25. 4 divided by 2 is 2. All right. Problem 32. We have 7 over 8x equals negative 21. So we're going to want to multiply by 8 first to get that denominator out of the way, leaving us with 7x equals negative 168. Divide both sides by 7 to get x equals negative 24. Problem number 34. We have negative 5 over 6x equals negative 15. So we're going to put that negative with a 6 for the same reasoning as we did with problem number 28. Let's go ahead and make that x in the numerator positive. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 6. That leaves us with 5x equals 90. Divide both sides by 5 to get x equals 18. Problem 36. We have 8x minus 3x equals negative 50. So remember, we have these steps that I gave you in this last section. Step 1, you are going to remove the parentheses Well, there are no parentheses to move, so we don't remove, so we don't need to worry about that. 2 is to combine your like terms, which we do have like terms here, and remember those like terms have to be on the same side of that equal sign. So to combine 8x minus 3x, that gives us 5x. And then step 3 is to move all x's to one side. We only have one x, so we don't have to worry about it. And step 4 is solve. So to solve this, we would divide both sides by 5 to get x equals -10. Okay. All right, problem number 38 looks fun. For problem number 38, we have 4 over 11x minus 9 plus 2 over 11x equals 18 minus 3 over 11x. I'm going to draw my line through our equal sign so we don't get confused as to what's our sides. So there are no parentheses, so the next step is going to be to combine your like terms. Well, we have a 4 over 11 and a 2 over 11. When we add those two together, that's going to give us a 6 over 11x minus 9 equals 18 minus 3 over 11x. Now step 3 tells us to get all of our x's on one side, so we're going to add 3 over 11x to both sides. Leaving us with a 9 over 11x minus 9 equals 18. So now we're going to add 9 to both sides to get 9 over 11x equals 27. Multiply both sides by 11. So 1 times 7 is 7, 1 times 2 is 2. Add your 0, 1 times 7 is 7, 1 times 2 is 2. So you should get 297. So 9x equals 297. Oops, sorry about that. Divide both sides by 9 to get x equals 33. Now guys, I don't know why they put that problem in this section, because that one's a little more advanced than what you guys should be doing right now. So if that problem just completely blew your mind, don't worry about it. When you get into section 1.6, we explain that a lot better on how to work when you have addition and multiplication, division, all that in there. So let's look at number 40. 40, we have -2 times x minus 3 plus 10 equals -4 times 5 minus 4x. So the first thing we do is get rid of our parentheses. Okay, so that gives us -2x plus 6, because -2 times x is -2x. -2 times -3 is a positive 6. Bring down your 10. -4 times 5 is -20. -4 times -4x is positive 16x. Then you're going to combine your like terms. So my like terms over here are going to be 6 and 10. So we should have -2x plus 16, because 6 plus 10 is 16, equals, and there are no like terms over here, so we can just bring everything else down. So now we want to get all of our x's on the same side. So you move the smaller one. So we're going to add 2x to both sides to get 16 equals 20 plus 18x, add 20 to both sides to get 36 equals 18x, then divide by 18 to get x equals 2. Now guys, if you weren't able to do those last two problems, really don't stress out. You should have been able to do at least through 36 though. So make sure that you watch that section 1.6 video, because that ties this lesson from 1.5 and the last lesson from 1.4 together. Alright, I hope this has been helpful for you, and I wish you the best of luck.